What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro. Welcome back. So we are back with another video. On this video, we're going to cover OCG Metagame Tier List, post WCQ Asia Finals, and Japan Championship. So this is my OCG Metagame Tier List after those huge events to vindicate and qualify our representatives for the World Championship this coming August or September, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, after those huge tournaments, we are currently at this tier list on my own perspective. So we do have S, A, B, C, and D tiers here. We're going to cover each deck on every tier list, and we will provide a sample deck list for each deck because most of my viewers have asked me to do an alternative video for this tier list in providing of the deck list sample because they want to know what is the current and trend builds for these decks, and also they are not yet too familiar on everyone's deck recipe of this. And I have chose topping deck lists from various tournaments in Asia, from Japan, Korea, China, and Taiwan. So rest assured that these lists are very competitive and one of the best that we could see on this third week of July. So without further ado, let's start. So on the S tier, we do have Yubel Finsmith and also Rescue Ace Finsmith. On A, we do have Snake Eyes Finsmith, Tenpai Dragon, Voices Voice, Farking, Finsmith Snake Eyes. On B, we do have Runic, Chimera Finsmith, Mementotlan, Unchained Finsmith. On C, we do have Labyrinth Finsmith, Infernoid, Branded, Centurion, and Supreme King Melodious Magician. On D, we do have Tachyon and Yubel Pure version, and also Ritual Beast, and also at Ignister, and also last but not the least, Metabit. So moving on our deck list, we do have Yubel Finsmith here. So this is probably one of the most standard deck lists of Yubel. It played triple Veiler into the main deck, and you could definitely mix and match those Veilers with the likes of Nibiru and Droll to nullify the Finsmith matchup. Of course, Droll is very impactful towards the Finsmith decks, and also Nibiru could be really strong against Rescue Ace. And some people are also playing Baldrake over the likes of Veiler because Magnamut and Baldrake are very essential towards the Luri into the graveyard. You could definitely banish the Luri and gain so much advantages from the Magnamut and Baldrake. On the side deck, it played the Appointer. It is quite the trend for the Yubel Finsmith right now because the popularity of Ra Sphere Mode into the side deck of Rescue Ace players are getting dominant recently. So a pointer could snatch away the sphere mode and other threats like Lava Golem and other cards that couldn't be stopped by Anti-Spell Fragrance or Solemn Judgment. So yeah, the Appointer is really phenomenal here for this Yubel side deck. Next would be Rescue Ace Finsmith. So Rescue Ace are now trying to play more hand traps into the deck like this Droll and Lockbird over the likes of Dark Ruler no more. Before, they're playing Dark Ruler into the main deck and also more copies of Talent because I think Droll is really a card that you badly need for the Finsmith deck. So yeah, and also played Multichami Purulia onto this side deck. This is very pivotal towards getting your Impulse, which can grant you attacker and a free body on your field. So I think Impulse into this rest case are very underrated. I have seen a lot of Impulse resolving on WCQ Asia Finals, and it definitely brought a lot of resources and also body that can be capitalized towards Link summoning into Finsmith line of play or the Little Knight. Next would be Snake Eyes Finsmith. I have chosen the version of Millennium Package Attrition towards this build because it is made popular by Koki Kosaka, the World Champion 2019, and he definitely plays the Snake Eyes Finsmith with the Millennium Engine as per his X or Twitter account. So many people are adopting this strategy, and the Millennium Engine could give you access towards Link summoning methods and can give you early access to Little Knight and Appaloosa and also Beatrice as well. So the Millennium Engine can be quite tricky to deal against because even though they have consumed their Finsmith, they could back it up with Millennium Engine. And also, the problem would be the deck is quite bricky and more inconsistent with a lot of garnets. So yeah, that's the downside of that engine. But all in all, it is really good to link climb faster and also have more gas. And on this build, we could definitely see the inclusion of Ra Sphere Mode into the side deck, and most people are playing with this as Sphere Mode because it definitely strolls past the best boards into this current meta with the full board of Yubel, a bunch of negations and interruptions, and also Rescue Ace and Snake Eyes are the same. So Sphere Mode is really strong here. Next would be Tenpai Dragon. So this has been the trend recently for Tenpai Dragon, side decking the Forbidden Droplet, and they are now playing multitudes of hand traps into the main deck with Bell and Multichami Purulia, and sometimes Droll, no? So of course Bell is really strong here to stop the Luri into the graveyard and other graveyard shenanigan effects. So yeah, I think the Unending Nightmare here is also underrated. The Unending Nightmare could definitely out Backrow and Floodgates into this meta game. Mainly the Voices Voice continuous spell, the Yubel continues, and also other bunch of Floodgates like Anti-Spell, Summon Limit. Those are very popular right now. And next, we do have Voiceless Voice. So this time, it plays Dominus Purge. So Dominus Purge is really a trend here for Voiceless Voice because they don't really care too much about fire monsters. So yeah, they are free to use the Dominus Purge. And also, it plays a bunch of going first cards into the side deck with triple anti-spell and double cold buy because the format is very impacted by Droll and Lockbird, and Voiceless Voice is a deck that will single-handedly lose into a single Droll and Lockbird. So cold buy could definitely make a lot of sense here. And next would be Snake Eyes, Fire King, Finsmith. So very odd deck building here, no? One level 8 of Fire King, also one Witch, and bunch of one-offs is like a bunch of engine that is mashed together. But it could definitely work. You still have Bonfire, Ash, Poplar. So you have a lot of ways to start your plays, and you have a lot of toolbox type of kit in this Fire King engine with the popping effects of Fire King and also the added resiliency of the Ponyx. And I think it is one of the decks that are kinda losing its traction. We have definitely seen more of the Snake Eyes, Finsmith, over the Fire King version. And even though it is losing popularity, I think it is still a massive deck and it will definitely need respect if we need to be able to battle it out and win against this type of deck. On this, it played the Nadir package with Ecclesia. So those can be very substantial to start your plays. Dumping the Garura, getting a draw one, and also the Ecclesia will be added and will get you something like punishment. So you have another form of interactions and draw power, and it can be really strong here to improve the board setup of this Fire King. And next, we do have Runic. So the good old Runic, this time they are playing the Clockdown into the main deck, and we are seeing a plethora of floodgates here, like Goes in Match, that is kinda gaining traction recently because the format will be affected by Goes in Match, even though the Fire Nation is still relevant. The Finsmith engine are light and dark, and I think the other monsters are also have a lot of different attributes. So Goes in Match could definitely make a lot of sense here. And also Fisher, of course. The Fisher is definitely perennial and paramount to stop the graveyard shenanigans into this metagame. And also play Dogwood, no? So people are very skeptical about playing Dogwood. But for me, I think Dogwood is really strong here. Especially if you're playing a slow pace tempo deck like Runic. You could definitely benefit from Dogwood, from winning on time, of course. And next, we do have Chimera Finsmith. So very standard. This is like the most standard basic version of Chimera Finsmith. And yeah, I think this deck is still really strong. I think it lags behind on other Finsmith decks, but it is one of the best decks into the middle ground of this report. And I could definitely see that Chimera Finsmith will get more traction if people will invest more time and yeah, experience for this deck, and I think it's really strong. It starts with a lot of plays from Chimera, and Finsmith definitely solved the consistency issues of Chimera. So yeah, moving on, we do have Mementotlan. So Mementotlan, another deck that is in a shaky moment right now. It is a bit tricky to say that Mementotlan is a really strong contender deck because sometimes they really lack representations and results. Even though this deck is on paper labeled as one of the top decks into this early July, but sometimes on some weeks they are not performing at the level that we people are expecting them to be. So yeah, I just put the Mentotlan into the middle ground, and it is still one of the best decks that you could play. Very budget as well, far from the ban list. So we are going to expect a lot of Mementotlan, especially they are getting more support from the Rota. And next, we do have Unchained Finsmith. So another deck that similar to Chimera. It is like a watered down version of the Finsmith decks, but it is still insanely strong with the synergy between Fiend monsters and Finsmith engine. It is a deck that you should look out for because it has a lot of extensions and a lot of tricky plays to be solved, and a lot of interactions are also a case-to-case basis. It is really hard to hand trap the deck, and most of the time they have a lot of follow-throughs, and they also have floating effects. So even though you get rid of those monsters on board, they can still pop off and make a comeback once you don't really end the game against this deck. They could definitely have windows to win the game and win the game on their favor. And on this list, it played the Sanctum, no? So Sanctum, really underrated card. Most people are not convinced on playing Sanctum, but for me, on this Unchained, it is the card that you should definitely play because Sanctum with the artifact site on the board, stopping the decks from going into extra deck plays. So they are left with no responses, and the Unchained could definitely capitalize on that and OTK on the next turn. Next would be Labyrinth Finsmith. So the relevance of Labyrinth Finsmith right now dwells down on the creativity of the Labyrinth player, whether they would play the Power Sync Stone and other floodgates like Summon Limit, Skill Drain. But for now, the Power Sync Stone is gaining a lot of attention for this Labyrinth because this is like a watered down version of Skill Drain, but you get to effect also on your field. So yeah, it is a very tricky card to play against, and if your opponent doesn't have outs against this card, they will definitely lose on the process. And also played Lava Golem over Sphere Mode. Quite interesting because I would see Sphere Mode better here, but Lava Golem could definitely be more substantial against rogue decks and decks that doesn't really go all out on their board. So yeah, it could definitely make sense here. And next we do have Infernoid. Goodness gracious, I am always flabbergasted when I am seeing Infernoid. It is one of those decks that you cannot do anything. Once you run into Infernoid, it's definitely hard to stop them from playing the game. And they do have a lot of plays like Reasoning, Monster Gate, and Grass. Those are really annoying to deal against. Once they can resolve those, it's really hard to beat this Infernoid. And also, they have an FTK, pseudo FTK type of play with the rollback and Ghost Meets Girl. So, it's really hard to deal against this deck. And the deck also has a lot of multitudes of choke points. It is really hard to navigate all of those, and it is also dependent on their hand cards and also their playthrough. So yeah, it's really hard to stop this deck. And next, we do have Branded. So the recent popularity of Branded with board breakers into the main deck are plummeting. And the reason for that is Branded kinda struggles a bit when they don't have the proper hand cards to break a board. But with the going second, they have Trust. So Trust could definitely fetch off the grass. And also like cards like the Eclipse and Droplet could break boards of those meta decks right now. And also talent gives them so much value when you get to hand trap them and they draw two from talent. It is probably one of the biggest things to ever happen for Branded, getting so much resources and draw power, and also respectable going second prowess on this 60 card version. I think it's really phenomenal for this Branded 60 grass version. And next would be Centurion. So this surprised me a lot because on the previous 2 weeks of my metagame report and also on the Road of the King, article, Centurion has been the fifth or fourth best deck on that report, and I also rate Centurion very high recently because this is like a weaker version of Voices Voice, but more consistent, and also could definitely bring a lot of mid-range prowess into the table with the plethora of hand traps like this. He is playing 3, 6, 9, 12 hand traps and be able to play out a lot of utility cards like the Super Poly and Talent into the main deck, and even Duster, no? And also played Bestials. So this is really great to answer the variety and variance of the metagame right now. Once you have a lot of room to answer different matchups with those hand traps, and also can be able to answer the best meta decks into this format with the likes of Bestial, Super Poly, Talent, you can be a really good deck because you start with one card combos, and also the deck is kinda strong here on going first with the Blazar and also the Arcuela. Those two are really decent type of board into your setup. So yeah, I think Centurion does have a spot into our metagame right now. Next would be Pendulum Z Arc Magician. So this time I have opted to choose this Magician without the Melodious, but I think the advantage of this deck is it plays more hand trap and also more abundant on Pendulum names. So you have a lot of ways to start your plays with the Skullcrobat Joker and the Pendulum cards here with the Supreme King cards. You have a lot of ways to go, and the other upside is you're playing more hand traps. Like this, it played Nibiru. Triple copies Nibiru. Very huge when going second. Especially when you don't have too much answers towards the uh, deck build of Pendulum Magician because you lack space for hand traps. And also, you're able to play Shifter and Engraving. So those two are really a hassle for the best decks right now. Snake Eyes, Yubel, and Rescue Ace would all lose from this type of cards. Next would be Photon. So Photon, this time I have opted to choose the version of Bestials into this deck. And sometimes they play with Horus and sometimes without Horus. But for me, I think I would opt to play Tachyon without the Horus engine. Just like this, it plays more extenders and also a lot of starters like Seifert and Lubellion. And also, you could play a lot of different type of extenders for this deck, and also utility cards like Chaos Space. And also, I played a bunch of going second cards into the side deck with double Evenly. Evenly is kinda not so popular recently, even though it definitely counters the Rescue Ace. It lost its traction over the likes of Droplet or Dark Ruler No More, and it played Sphere Mode. That's the most important thing when you're a deck that could play Sphere Mode. You have a lot of upsides into this meta game because you don't consume your normal and you get to break possibly the hardest board to break right now with the Ubel. So yeah, really huge advantage here for playing Sphere Mode. Next would be Pure Ubel. So this has been the trend on Japanese and Korean locals. They have been playing the Ubel in pure version, and I think it is quite logical. Even though at first you are playing a lesser budget, lesser version of Ubel and a more inconsistent version, but on the contrary, it plays more types of cards that could swoop or direct counter the best decks like Shifter and Super Poly. So those two are really important to answer the best decks. If you are planning to play Ubel as a pure deck, I think this is the sign and the version of deck that could definitely make things work for you with this kind of build. You have more rooms for hand trap like Droll, Shifter, and board breakers like Super Poly. On the side deck, you are also more spacious to tech in cards moving on game 2 and 3 with the Purulia, with the talent, no? It's very versatile. I think it's one of the biggest reasons why Yubel as a pure is very much played into these locals. The advantage of being spacious is really important. And next would be Ritual Beast. So another interesting deck here. I think Ritual Beast as a deck is overshadowed by a lot of combo decks into this metagame, but the ability to play Shifter and don't care about the graveyard is really huge here. you could play a lot of floodgates like Fissure and Engraving and also Macrocosmos. With Shifter, you are definitely going to counter the Yubel Finsmith and other Finsmith decks that are running rampant on the top of our tier list. And also on top of that, you could play safely with one Baguska, and your end board is really phenomenal as well with the Rairotori and Little Knight and IV Mascarena with Baguska or even Dweller. Those are really huge to answer the best decks available, and it is quite attributed towards the success of Rod Allen, our PH rep in the recent WCQ Asia Finals. He placed 8th on the tournament, a very huge tournament, but he definitely proved that Ritual Beast is a competent deck into this metagame. Next would be Ignister. So this is like the modern version of Cyber Spile. Nothing to say too much about this. It is just very consistent with the Signet Mining, with the small world with the talent, and you're able to bring out a very strong board going first. You could also play around Maxi with the Hit Soul Pass, and also you are very strong going second once you hand trap the opponent, and also have access towards the transcode, the Splash Mage, and it is easy as 1, 2, 3 to OTK with the access code Talker. And also, you do have a lot of flex spots for hand traps into the side deck, like Nibiru, Gamma Droll. All of those are can be fit in towards the main deck. Just replace the extenders like Small World and Signet Mining. So yeah, it's really a spacious deck with a lot of rooms for different case-to-case hand traps and tech options. Next, our last deck in our tier list, the last deck on the D tier, we do have Metabit. So pardon me if I couldn't bring up with a better looking deck list of Metabit. But this is from Marineford TCG tournament in Korea, and I definitely like how he approached the Metabit right now because most people are playing Metabit with a bunch of varieties, different set of trap cards, different floodgates. But this time, I am really fascinated with how he balanced the going second cards into the main deck with the Evilly Match, and also the likes of stun cards like Stay Q and Border to snatch away victories going first, going second. You could definitely sit on a border and win the game from there. And Morganite pass as well would definitely give you so much card resources towards the mid game and late game scenarios. So you could also protect the board with the Solemn Judgment and the Forbidden Lands. So yeah, overall I really like this version of Metabit. So yeah, that sums up our OCG Metagame tier list review, and we provided deck list samples. So thank you for watching this video. If you found this video informative and enjoying, please consider subscribing into my YouTube channel. It definitely motivates me a lot to keep going and provide this quality content for you guys. So once again, thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.